Intellect can vary throughout different people. You might think you're dumb, like locking your keys in the car, totally bombing a test, or you buy the new Call of Duty every year. But no matter how dumb you think you are, you'll never be as dumb as some of these criminals. Robbing a gun store with a bat. As the saying goes, never bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, this guy should have taken this phrase more literally. And instead of a knife, he brought a bat. In 2013, 22-year-old Derek Mosley decided to slide up on his local gun store in Oregon. He decided not to rob the store with a gun, but with a bat, because robbing a store with hundreds of firearms with nothing but a melee weapon is an excellent idea. He used the bat to break the display case, giving him access to all the best guns. He grabbed a semi-automatic handgun, but obviously the display firearms were not loaded. Real good move, smart guy. The manager came in and held him at gunpoint until the cops arrived. He faced charges like first-degree robbery, first-degree theft, unlawful possession of a firearm, and second-degree criminal mischief. But props to him, though. How else was he going to level up his weapon? The polite robber. You usually call ahead to confirm your guaranteed reservation in a restaurant or something. It's a good way for the restaurant to prepare for your arrival. So Albert Bailey did the same, to a bank, for a robbery. In 2010, Albert Bailey from Connecticut was running low on a little cash. So he called the bank, informing them that he was on the way, and they better have his bread ready on a silver platter, and his money folded, not rolled in. He arrived at the bank a few minutes later thinking he was the slickest guy ever. Instead of wads of cash, he pulled up and was met with flashing blue and red lights. He was arrested and charged with first-degree robbery and threatening, along with his partner in crime. It turns out he'd already been arrested for another bank robbery. You'd think he'd learn, but I guess not. But maybe third time's a charm. The perfect disguise. Criminals usually have a disguise when committing their crimes. Usually a long-sleeve shirt and pants with gloves and a ski mask. It's a great getup because of the minimal skin exposure and less ways you can easily identify them. But this guy didn't seem to get the memo. 48-year-old Dennis Hawkins was in a devious mood, so in Pennsylvania 2010, Hawkins decided to rob a Kmart in the perfect disguise. A blonde wig with a sweater with fake breasts and clown pants, complemented by his obvious goatee. The ultimate stealth suit that will draw no suspicions whatsoever. He stole a BB gun and left the scene to head to the bank. He sat in the waiting area for a few minutes until slipping the bank teller a demand note. She gave him the money, and he left. Mission passed. He got away successfully and fled to Brazil. Just kidding. The bag of money contained a red dye pack that exploded and covered the cosplaying clown, making him even more noticeable, if that even is possible. He ran to a gas station and tried to carjack a lady, but he was caught and arrested. Truly an idol that all criminals should look up to. You can't see me. You thought those other ones were dumb. Well, this one reaches new levels, even rivaling the IQ of Patrick himself. Lemon juice has a unique quirk. It acts as invisible ink. You can write it on a paper, and when exposed to heat, the message appears. Now, MacArthur Wheeler found out this neat fact and had a brilliant idea. He got a bunch of lemon juice and smeared it on his face, believing the invisible properties would make his face disappear from cameras. To test this theory, he took a picture of himself smothered in the juice, and it came out blank. Wow, it really works. Well, no, turns out his camera was broken, but he still believed it. In 1995, he walked into 2 banks with lemon juice on his face instead of a mask and robbed them in broad daylight. He was easily tracked down and arrested shortly after. He was shocked that his plan didn't work. Even if the lemon juice did obscure his identity from the cameras, there still are witnesses who saw you walk in there and do it. His logic was flawed either way. Cold fries. Don't you hate it when you roll up to McDonald's, spend your hard-earned cash, and leave the drive-thru with cold, slightly reheated fries? Well, Antoine Sims did. One day in Georgia, 2022, Antoine Sims and his fiancée ordered McDonald's, and they were unhappy with their order. Sims came in and made a scene about his fries not being fresh. He was throwing a fit and tossed around his meal at the workers. The McDonald's staff, fearing for their safety, called the police. In a shocking move, Sims also called 911 to complain to them about his order. He was trespassed from the McDonald's and was outside talking to the officer. The officer tried to calm him down and tried to listen to both sides of the story. The officer needed him to sign a trespass warning. He became physically distressed and didn't want to sign it. The officer looked him up and found out he had an active warrant on him. He fled the scene, but the police ultimately caught him. Turns out Anthony was involved with a murder charge in 2018. All I can say is I sure hope those fresh fries were worth it. Shop with a cop. Every holiday, Walmart's nationwide has a cool program to help poor and underprivileged children get Christmas gifts. This program is called Shop with a Cop, where police officers and children pair up to pick out their favorite toys and games. It's a very nice program, and it's been happening since the 90s. But one faithful day in December 2024, Hector D. Velasquez Maldonado decided to start his routine shoplifting. He was a repeat shoplifter and has multiple cases for it and larceny, and is still wanted by the police. He walked in the store and started stealing, filling up his cart with valuables totaling up to $1,400 worth of merchandise. But little did he know, the Shop with a Cop event was going on, and the store was literally filled to the brim with police. He was caught trying to leave out the door with a massive cart of stolen items until an employee informed one of the many officers in the building. He was very quickly apprehended. You gotta give it to the guy, he had the courage to openly steal hundreds of dollars worth of items in a store with a large police presence inside and out. Or the guy was just an idiot and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Free advertising. It's 2010. The iPhone is still fresh and new. Covia Labs were testing out their new experimental GPS app. They sent one of their employees out in the streets of San Francisco to see how the app worked and functioned. As she walked, her colleagues were monitoring her movements from a computer. The test was going well until Jordan Sturm showed up. He was riding his bike when he spotted the new expensive iPhone. The phone thief rode up and stole her phone. But little did he know, his every step was tracked. GPS systems in phones were relatively new at the time, so Sturm was unaware of its tracking abilities. The Covia Labs team noticed the movements of the phone were weird and erratic, so they called the police. They were able to provide the real-time tracking of the criminal to the cops, and they were able to catch him about 9 minutes later, half a mile away. He was arrested and the phone was returned. I guess the team learned that their new app worked super well. The fatal floppy disk. Dennis Rader was a known serial killer nicknamed the BTK Killer. Blind, torture, kill. His spree started back in '74 with the murder of a family of 4. He kept his murderous streak until 1991 and then went silent after claiming 10 victims. He remained uncaught for more than a decade. In 2004, newspapers made light of the 30th anniversary of his first murder, and how he still remains uncaught. Rader saw this and his ego sparked up again. Rader was a narcissist and loved the fame and the spotlight, and was very overconfident, and thought he would never be caught. He sent packages and letters to the police which contained disturbing mementos and clues to his identity. He enjoyed the cat and mouse chase and thought it was a fun game. In 2005, Rader asked the police if a floppy disk could be tracked. They said no, and Rader sent a disk to a television station. This would be his most fatal mistake. They retrieved the disk and were able to recover deleted files and scanned for metadata, which is little hidden information about the files. This includes location. They used a series of clues to track down the elusive killer. Dennis used to gratify himself. After his killings right at the scene? Yeah, real smart move, right? Well, they were able to match the DNA from the disk and the residue from one of the crime scenes, confirming that their suspect was likely Dennis Rader. He was arrested and charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder. Yet another tale of one's pride and ego resulting in their demise. So, those were some of the dumbest criminals I could find. Let me know which one's the stupidest. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.